In the early hours of January 24, 1961, the people of Goldsboro, North Carolina, slept peacefully under a cold winter sky, completely unaware that above them, the United States had just come within a hair's breadth of destroying itself. The nation was deep in the Cold War, its skies patrolled by nuclear-armed B-52 Stratofortress bombers on constant alert. That night, one such bomber, carrying two Mark 39 hydrogen bombs, each more than 250 times as powerful as the bomb dropped on Hiroshima, ran into trouble. While on a routine airborne alert mission, the aircraft suffered a fuel leak in its right wing. The leak quickly worsened, and the plane began to lose stability. At 12,000 feet, the B-52 broke apart in mid-air. As the fuselage tore open, the two massive nuclear bombs were thrown into the night. One bomb's parachute deployed as designed, slowing its descent and bringing it gently into a North Carolina field. But the other plunged toward the ground at terminal velocity, slamming into farmland and burying itself deep in the earth. Here's where the situation becomes terrifying. Each Mark 39 bomb had multiple safety mechanisms to prevent accidental detonation. On the bomb with the parachute, 5 of its 6 safety devices failed. Only a single low-voltage switch stood between the United States and a nuclear explosion that could have wiped out much of the East Coast. If that final switch had failed, a 4-megaton blast would have vaporized Goldsboro instantly, with lethal fallout potentially reaching as far as New York City and Washington, D.C. The other bomb was in even worse condition. The impact had smashed it apart, scattering debris across a wide area. Some of its uranium and other radioactive components were recovered, but part of the bomb remains buried in the North Carolina soil to this day, inaccessible due to contamination risks. The Air Force quickly swooped in, sealing off the site, retrieving what they could, and imposing a strict silence on the event. Officially, the incident was described as an accident that posed no danger to the public, but decades later, declassified documents revealed just how close the nation had come to a catastrophe. A 1969 report by Parker F. Jones, a senior engineer at Sandia National Laboratories, pulled no punches. One simple, low-voltage switch stood between the United States and major disaster, he wrote. In plain terms, the safeguards that were supposed to prevent accidental nuclear detonations weren't foolproof. If the plane had broken up at a slightly different angle, or if the bomb had landed differently, the East Coast might have been uninhabitable for generations. The Goldsboro incident became, honestly, one of the most chilling examples of just how thin the line between peace and nuclear apocalypse really was during the Cold War. And you know, it wasn't the only time America nearly destroyed itself. There were dozens of broken arrow events, which is the military's term for accidental nuclear weapon incidents. But this one stood out for just how close the bomb came to actually going off. In the years that followed, engineers worked, to improve nuclear weapon safety mechanisms, adding more redundant fail-safes to prevent a single point of failure from causing disaster. Yet for the people of Goldsboro, life returned to normal pretty quickly. Farmers resumed work in the fields, families continued their routines, and the buried remains of the second bomb became, well, an odd local legend. Some saw it as a symbol of survival. The day their small town was spared from becoming ground zero for the worst accident in human history. For others, it was a sobering reminder of just how much power rested in the machinery and protocols of the Cold War nuclear arsenal. Today, the story of the Goldsboro incident is often retold as both a warning and, honestly, a dark curiosity. It underscores just how human error, mechanical failure, and the ever-present shadow of nuclear weapons can collide in terrifying ways. When we think of the Cold War, we imagine standoffs with the Soviet Union, missile silos, and tense diplomacy. But the truth is, sometimes the greatest threat wasn't an enemy across the ocean. It was a bomber in our own skies, a faulty switch, and a moment's bad luck away from erasing entire cities. On that January night in 1961, America got lucky, the world got lucky, and all it took was a single functioning switch to keep the Cold War from turning hot in the worst way imaginable.